the most altruistic man is the most selfish. I am approached with the most opposite opinions and advice, and that by religious men, who are equally certain that they represent the divine will. I am sure that either the one or the other is mistaken in that belief, and perhaps in some respects both. I hope it will not be irrelevant for me to say that if it is probable that God would reveal his will to others, on a point so connected with my duty, it might be supposed he would reveal it directly to me, for, unless I am more deceived in myself than I often am, it is my earnest desire to know the will of Providence in this matter. And if I can learn what it is, I will do it. These are not, however, the days of miracles, and I suppose it will be granted that I am not to expect a direct revelation. I must study the plain, physical facts of the case, ascertain what is possible and learn what appears to be wise and right. Nothing in this world is impossible to a willing heart. It is not best to swap horses while crossing the river. They, the signers of the Declaration of Independence, did not mean to assert the obvious untruth that all were then actually enjoying that equality, nor yet that they were about to confer it immediately upon them. In fact, they had no power to confer such a boon. They meant simply to declare the right, so that the enforcement of it might follow as fast as circumstances should permit. While the people retained their virtue and vigilance, no administration, by any extreme of wickedness or folly, can very seriously injure the government, in the short space of 4 years. When you have got an elephant by the hind legs and he is trying to run away, it's best to let him run. In your temporary failure, there is no evidence that you may not yet be a better scholar, and a more successful man in the great struggle of life, than many others, who have entered college more easily. Teach the children so it won't be necessary to teach the adults. I believe it is an established maxim in morals that he who makes an assertion without knowing whether it is true or false, is guilty of falsehood, and the accidental truth of the assertion does not justify or excuse him. If we magnified our successes as much as we magnify our disappointments, we'd all be much happier. You can lose everything in life, but not dreams. That from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. I will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. It is not the Constitution as I would like to have it, but as it is, that is to be defended. The Constitution will not be preserved and defended until it is enforced and obeyed in every part of the United States. It must be so respected, obeyed, enforced, and defended, and let the grass grow where it may. In the end, it's not the years in your life that count. It's the life in your years. The facts with which I shall deal this evening are mainly old and familiar, nor is there anything new in the general use I shall make of them. If there shall be any novelty, it will be in the mode of presenting the facts, and the inferences and observations following that presentation. Cooper Union Address, 1860. And this, too, shall pass away. We shall sooner have the fowl by hatching the egg than by smashing it. Slavery is founded in the selfishness of man's nature, opposition to it in his love of justice. These principles are an eternal antagonism, and when brought into collision so fiercely as slavery extension brings them, shocks and throes and convulsions must. It is for us the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from this earth.